what really will help us build a business?
You gotta be relentless. Chase after what you want. If you have to work 18 hours, 20 hours with very little sleep, go for it. What I would say is, the moment you set up a gym, always make sure that you have reserve funds to last for at least a year or two before you actually start seeing any progress. Number one, safety is very important. Equipment from other countries may have a safety issue, so I didn't want to take the risk. I decided, you know what, let's just spend a little bit more and not compromise on safety. I used to have a lot of inferiority complex and insecurities about myself. So when I decided to change my appearance, that was the only thing in my power that I could do.
Is there anyone who helped you to find out, or you source it out yourself?
I'm someone who needs to be hands-on. I always believe if you want to get it done right, you gotta get it done yourself.
What do you think the stage of your baby is at now?
A lot of people know the brand now, but I would like it to be known overseas as well one day. In 2 years before I start seeing proper profits coming in. So in that 2 years, I actually was looking at how slow the progress.
In this video, I'm going to deep dive into stories of entrepreneurs and change makers. This isn't just about business, but about the relationships, the struggles, and the breakthroughs that define success. Navigate this journey with me and explore what it truly means to thrive, live fully, and love deeply. Let's go.
I have here today Jay, who is the founder of the Fesique Lab.
As Cassandra said, I'm Jay Devar. I'm the founder and head coach of the Fesique Lab. It's a personal training gym in the heart of town, Clarke Quay.
Yes, and before this, maybe you can share what was your life like before opening up this gym?
How was life like? It was very peaceful.
So now it's not peaceful.
Now it's chaos. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, so life back then as a trainer working in a commercial gym, right? I would say it was less challenging because I only had one role to fulfill, which was just a trainer. But now that I actually own and run my own gym, there are many hats that I have to wear, such as being a trainer is the main thing, and then I also have to be the administrator, the marketeer, and sometimes janitor.
Oh my gosh, but that's the real life of opening up a business by yourself, right?
Yes, that's right.
Is there any moments where you feel like, I think I need to hire people, or what were the decision-making process like when you opened this business?
So initially when I first started out, I was like a one-man show. And then as I started getting more and more clients, I realized that me as one individual can't handle so many clients.
Definitely.
So that's where I decided to actually form a team. So I carefully went out there and I looked for like-minded individuals who had a passion for fitness and health, and of course with the credentials as well. So I got them into the team, and then from a team of 2 trainers including mine, it expanded to 4. And then after that, I realized that I could expand the team, but the thing is, the space capacity of the gym can only support that many trainers and clients at one single time. So I decided to hold back on expanding the team and just concentrate on the current clientele.
Okay, so from one-man show into a team of 4, and you expanded your gym not just in this gym but also in clients' gyms, or?
Oh yes, so I actually have 2 teams. So one team is stationed at the Fesique Lab. The other team are my freelancers who actually go to clients' residences and gyms of their preference to train them. Reason why I have this secondary team is because some clients are not able to come to Clarke Quay to train at the Fesique Lab, and they would prefer a trainer to be at their location. Like for some clients who are staying in a condo, they have access to a gym just at their place.
Yeah, so it's very convenient for the clients to actually train themselves in the gym. Okay, and you also mentioned you were a personal trainer.
Yes.
In a commercial gym, right? And that means you saved up a lot of money to build this gym.
Yes. So sadly to say, gym equipment is not very cheap.
Yeah, definitely.
And gym equipment is actually none of it is manufactured in Singapore. So as you can see, most of my equipment is actually from the US. The shipping cost was the one that was a killer. But the reason why I decided not to actually cut corners with gym equipment is, number one, safety is very important. Equipment from other countries may have a safety issue, so I didn't want to take the risk. I decided, you know what, let's just spend a little bit more, and not compromise on safety. And of course, the equipment that I bought from the US are more aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
I see. Yeah, and this whole gym, because I used to train, I used to be trained by Jay as well. So when you come here, you're gymming alone with just Jay. So this whole gym is like yours. So it's very amazing. Like, why don't you just fit everyone into one gym? I mean, you did mention that, okay, you don't want to expand, but why not?
Okay, so okay, let me come. Okay, I'll try to make this tiny story as short as possible. So back then, when I was a trainer in a commercial gym, especially after 6 p.m., right, peak hours, where everyone comes in for their workout, it was very challenging to give clients a proper full workout. Reason being, when there's a lot of people who are at the gym at the same time, we have to actually wait for the equipments. So because of that, example, a 45-minute workout, at least a quarter of it will be spent just for waiting for the equipments. And then another thing is that we can share equipments, but the thing is, when someone uses and then they leave, then it's our turn to use again, right? You can see a puddle of sweat down there.
Yeah. So
I mean, you can wipe it off, but sweat doesn't dry
evaporate.
straight away. You know,
Yeah.
we still have to wait for a while before the sweat, the perspiration actually dries off. So that's another pet peeve of mine. So not only did I want to give my clients a full proper workout, and I realized that the only way we can do this is by having a gym where the clients have the whole gym to themselves. So which is why me and my team, we actually have a roster. Like, it's like, for example, if I have a client at 4 to 5, then my other trainers won't be using the gym at that time. So of course, it is quite challenging in the sense where after 6 p.m, there'll be a few clients who want to use the gym at the same time. But I'll try to make sure that whoever books that slot first, they get the priority.
Okay. And when you're managing, at first you're managing yourself, right? Then now you're managing a team of 4.
Feels like they are managing me sometimes.
Oh, is it? Oh, why?
Okay, so reason why is because like I said, we actually compete for the slots. So there are times where I want to train my clients at the slots that they want. I can't because my team has already booked that.
Oh, I see.
So it's like 3 versus 1. So most of the time they get their way. Apart from that, okay, so I mean, I like managing the business, but I'm also someone who's very hands-on. Apart from being being the owner of a gym, I like to work as well as a personal trainer.
Okay.
So that's something that I am not able to give up yet.
Yeah.
So apart from having the 4 trainers and managing them, I also like to do what they are being told to do, which is to train clients.
Okay. That's great, because I feel like you can just leave the job, but you don't want to leave this because of your passion.
Yes. So the thing is, I mean, above the dollars and cents benefit, I also have joy in training people, and plus I'm someone who likes to talk to people. So when I train my clients, apart from giving them the workout, in between their sets and their rest time, we actually have a fun-filled conversation. And as you know me, I'm kind of a comedian myself. So
he likes to post very funny Insta stories, by the way. Yeah.
I hope I didn't offend anyone.
About gym, yeah. Yeah, okay. But what sparked this interest for you to be so passionate in fitness, in gym? Because there was this post that you said you are a skinny fat kid, but now you have won so many competitions for this. Like, what sparked that and what caused that transformation?
Okay, so when I was young, because of my physique, I had a lot of insecurities. Okay, if I'm allowed to be upfront, I would say that I actually had an inferiority complex about myself, my looks. So as I started getting older, I realized that there are some things that I can't change, such as my height. But I realized that there are things that is within my control that can be changed for the better. One of it was my physique and health. So I decided to make the bold move and alter my physique by working hard, eating right, and taking better care of myself. So as I slowly started improving my physique, my confidence started increasing as well. And then when it started increasing to a point, I actually told myself, so what is actually the next step after this? So that's when I had this idea, let's take part in a competition and see if do I have it. So in my first competition, it was called Pesta Sukan 2002. It was held in Sentosa. So I took part in the junior division, bantamweight category. So
How old were you?
Good question. A long time.
2002.
Okay.
2002.
I know you're trying to guess my age, right? Okay.
No, like how did it start?
Okay, so
Very young, right? Or
yeah, so at 16 years old, I did my O levels. So as soon as we finished our O levels, we had a long waiting time before we go to junior college. So it was during that time when I actually started training.
Okay.
Because I mean, what am I going to do at home?
Yeah.
And my parents didn't want me to work at McDonald's or something like that. They said, just stay at home, wait for your results. Once your results are out, get into JC, and then after that, finish it, go for a national service, and then go to uni. Okay, so coming back to that, so during my while I was waiting for my O level results, I started going to the gym to work out and all that.
Alone.
So funny thing is, I had a neighbor who was living above me.
Okay.
He was the one who actually brought me to the gym.
Okay.
Okay, so the funny story is that he brought me there and then he disappeared.
Okay. Why did you?
I have no idea. Till today,
So it's a blessing in disguise that you actually have that neighbor.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So funny thing is, he told me to follow him to the gym. I followed him there. As soon as we got there, he just disappeared. And then I was like, it was my first time in a gym. I didn't know what to do. So I was just like looking at all those guys with big muscles and seeing what they were doing.
And you just.
So I just kind of copied them. Okay, so a funny story. On my second visit to the gym, right, I saw this woman. She was bench pressing. Guys, right? One of our favorite body parts is, apart from the biceps, is our chest. So we like to train chest. So I saw this lady. She was like working out in the gym on a bench press. So I was just like, okay, you know what? I should also do. The gym was packed. We have to share equipment. So I was just waiting. And then she realized that I was actually waiting. And I think she kind of knew I was a newbie. She asked me, do you want to use? Then I'm like, yeah. And then what happened was, she started removing the weights. And then me having the male ego, right? I'm like, oh no, it's okay. Leave it there. And she's like, okay. And then she moved on to the machine in front of the bench press. So, and then I was like, I read somewhere that you have to do warm up first before you start anything. So I was like, okay, let me warm up first. So I removed all the weights by myself. So I
Bench press.
So I tried doing a bench press. Unfortunately, I couldn't lift it up.
Without the weights, you
Yes,
couldn't.
without the weights, it was stuck on my chest. And that lady who was using it before me, she didn't leave the place yet. So it's just in front of me. She quickly came over and then she brought the bar up and then she put it on the rack. And then I came up and then she asked me, "Are you alright?" And you know, my voice was like as though I sucked in a helium balloon. I was like, "Yes, I'm okay." And then she looked, and then she said, "You should do something lighter." Then I was like, "Okay, thank you for the advice." And then she walked off. Then I looked back, the bar is empty. So what is lighter than this? So it was so embarrassing. So what happened was I didn't go back to the gym for a month. Because I wanted people to, there were a few people who actually saw the whole commotion. So I was very embarrassed. So I waited 1 month before I went back again so that people will forget my face. So but this time I told myself, okay, you know what, I gotta do it the proper way. So, and I was very shy back then. There was, how should I put it, an elderly man. He looked the most friendly over there. The other big muscly guys looked very intimidating to talk to. So I approached him, I asked him, "Sir, I'm very new in the gym. Is it okay if you can teach me?" And he was like, "You want to learn from me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So he was like, "Okay." Then he gave me a tour of the gym, you know, like as though he's working there. And then he explained to me like, this exercise is for this muscle. You have to do it this way. Then he told me, your breathing, you have to breathe in a certain way and all that. I was like, oh, okay. After that, he left. And then I started having a deja vu. I remember the neighbor who brought me there.
Yeah.
He disappeared. And then in his place, this elderly uncle appeared. So I was like thinking, okay, maybe this is divine intervention.
Yeah.
So and then what happened was I took down his number and then I asked him, when you're coming again, can you let me know? And then he told me, oh, I work out at different timings. I said, no worries, I'm at home doing nothing. Then he was like, you're at home doing nothing? I said, no, I'm waiting for my results. So I have a long break. It's like, oh, okay. And then funny thing is, that night itself, he actually gave me a call. And then he said, Jay, I'm actually coming to the gym tomorrow in the morning. If you're a morning person, do join me. So I was like, to be honest, I wasn't a morning person, but,
But because you want to know.
Yes.
Okay.
I was very hungry for knowledge. On top of that, I was also more frightened about killing myself. Because the first time I got lucky, I'm not so sure if the second time I'll be lucky again.
Okay.
So I woke up in the morning very early because there's one thing that he told me was that I can't eat too early before the workout. I gotta have at least about 2 to 3 hours of gap before the workout. So I woke up very early, had my breakfast, waited, and then went to the gym, saw him, and then he was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you a newbie workout. And he kind of showed me the basics. And then what happened was 2 months later, I didn't get to see him again. Called him and then he said that he's kind of busy right now. So I was like kind of lost. I'm like, because this guy was so-called like my mentor and then kind of disappeared. So I was like, oh man, the guy who brought me the first time, he disappeared. Now this guy is disappearing. So okay, but I didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
All right. So I went back to the gym and this time I kind of mustered my courage up. I approached this guy. He was like an Asian Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I approached him and then I'm like, asked him for the same thing. He looked at me and was like, you sure you want advice from me? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty hardcore. Are you able to handle it? I'm like, as long as you don't kill me. And then he was like, okay, fine.
Okay.
So, and then what happened was I started shadowing his training, but it's like the same exercises, but of course the weights was different. And he was actually nice enough to remove the weights every time whenever it was my turn to do it. But it was tiring taking his weights out and putting it back on. Like, remember just now I took the weight in one hand. Back then, lighter weights, it required me to use my 2 hands and legs. So coming back to him, so I slowly kind of learned whatever I could from him, and then a few months later, he said, you know what, you know everything that I know now. There's nothing left to teach you. So, I remember this quote, find a mountain to climb, and then once you reach the peak, find another bigger mountain to climb. So with that quote in mind, I looked for another teacher who could teach me more. So the guy who actually taught me whatever he knew, he actually introduced his friend to me who was more experienced than him. And then he was like, started telling me more in-depth stuff about bodybuilding and what to eat and what not to eat.
And the gym was in your, whose?
Okay, so it was, back then they used to call it Club Fit Gym. Now I think they changed it to Active SG or something.
Okay, so it was free, it was for the
I mean, it's for the community.
Okay.
You still have to pay a small fee to get in.
Okay. So the guy actually helped you throughout that few months.
Yes.
Wow. And it's just because you asked him a question on whether he can help you out on your workout.
That's what I thought. So before he left, he actually told me that there were a few people who actually asked him, but he wasn't really bothered to help anyone. But he said that I appeared very sincere. So that's why he decided, okay, what can he lose from teaching me what he knows? So
he introduced you to the
ABCDs of bodybuilding. And then, like I said, once I learned whatever he knew, he introduced me to someone who knew more. So that person was the one who actually taught me about dieting and whatnot. Because before that, I was just training and drinking protein shakes. I had no knowledge of macros like carbs, proteins, fats, that you need proper hydration and sleep for muscle building. So I would say the third teacher, he actually taught me a lot. And then it was after him that I decided, you know what, I have to go on this journey. So what happened was I started researching on fitness and bodybuilding and dieting and nutrition. Luckily we had Yahoo back then. So I started Yahooing. And then I started buying books on fitness and training and whatnot. And then I realized that I started getting obsessed.
Okay. And that's after your O-level results, or?
Yes, after O-level results.
Okay.
So I was already like doing my tertiary, after O-levels I was doing my A's, and I still had this passion and hunger to get knowledge. So apart from my studies, I also wanted to gain knowledge on this. So it was like I was reading and studying and training myself to see what methods work and what methods do not work. And I realized that if there's a certain training principle, let's say I read it online, it may work on subject A, but it may have different results on subject B. So I realized that when it comes to training, it's not like something like a one size fits all. So I realized that when it comes to training and nutrition, right, it has to be catered to individuals. So what I did was I used myself as a lab rat. So I experimented myself. And then later on, when I became a trainer, I realized that, okay, I kind of know what works most of the time and what doesn't. So using my experience that I used on myself, I kind of use those training principles for my clients. And then of course, learning is a never-ending process.
Yeah.
So even though I've been like in the industry for 23 years now, I'm still reading and researching every day. Okay, so the thing is, sports science is evolving all the time. So like for example, what is researched and proven to be very effective today may not be so effective tomorrow. There might be newer training principles and methods that are far more effective. So which is why I always keep myself in the loop whenever new research comes out.
But you know, sometimes when I do exercise, there's this moment of like, I don't want to exercise anymore. What keeps you motivated? Like so motivated that you eventually join the competition.
Should I be honest?
Yeah.
Vanity.
Vanity, okay.
Okay.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Okay, so remember earlier on I told you that I used to have a lot of inferiority complex and insecurities about myself. So when I decided to change my appearance, because that was the only thing in my power that I could do, I said I can't change my height, I can't change the way I look. Of course, plastic surgery is another option, but I didn't want to go. So I thought the easiest and fastest method to change my look was actually to improve my physique. I told myself I will never go back to what I used to look like. So call me a vain pot if you want to. But I told myself, okay, you know what? I want to look like this and not go back. So that itself was enough motivation for me to stay in shape. And of course, winning the gold medals and all that was a bonus. Okay, so coming back to winning gold medals and all that, back then when I was in school, I was never a sports person. I wasn't good in athletics and all that. But when I started lifting weights and all that, I told myself, you know, if I never really won a trophy or medal in my life, so I wanted to win something in my life before I die. So then what happened was I started entering these physique competitions, and then when I started winning, it kind of became an addiction.
So you joined the first one and you won.
Yes. And then, I won a silver, and then...
But it motivates you to...
get a gold. So I took part in the second one. I got another silver. But the difference is, in the first competition, right, the guy I lost to, he got a gold, I got a silver. And then the following year when I actually improved my weak points and all that, he was also in the same competition. I got a silver. He was in the 4th place. It's not because he didn't improve, but
the competition.
Yes, the competition was far greater than the first one. So for me personally, what happened was when I got a silver, most people will regard that as a win. But for me, I am highly competitive. I told myself that was a gold medal loss. So then what happened was I improved myself for the next 1 year. I worked double hard. I made sure my diet was on point. And I made sure that I at least had 8 hours of sleep every day, because muscle builds up and fat oxidizes during sleep. The training part is just a preparation process. So with all these factors, when I entered my second competition, even though it was a silver, I was very happy with that win, because the one that I lost my gold medal to is now in 4th place and I'm in 2nd. And the guy who got a gold, he was like 10 years older than me with a lot more weightlifting experience. So I was happy to lose to someone who's far more experienced.
And eventually you get your gold medal.
Oh yes. So, and then what happened was, after that second competition, I kind of took a break from competing, because competing itself was very stressful in the sense where social life will be affected. There's no such thing as partying and stuff.
Yeah.
Remember the 8 hours of sleep? When you're partying, 8 hours of sleep is a luxury. So then I took a break. Then after 17 years, I kind of had this thought. I got 2 silver medals. I never had a gold medal. And I always wanted a gold medal. So then I told myself, I mean, it's been 17 years. Shall I give it another try? So then I got all my courage. I registered for a competition. So that competition had 4 categories. 2 local category and 1 for international athletes. So I thought, since I'm going to be preparing and all the categories is in one day, why not, So took part in 4 categories in that competition 17 years later. So out of 4, I won 3 gold medals. But the sacrifice that I had to go through for that competition was crazy in the sense where I had to really diet a lot. Training was almost like a full-time job. I was training 4 hours a day.
And it's for how many years or months did you train for?
So I started prepping for the competition at least 9 months.
9 months before the competition.
Before the competition, I started preparing myself 9 months in advance. Okay, most athletes, they will actually take 3 to 6 months. The reason why I took longer was, like I said, I wanted a gold medal. So I didn't want anything to be... I didn't want to make any mistakes. So if I had more time to prepare, so even if I go wrong somewhere in the middle, I still had time to bounce back. But thankfully, in that 9 months, nothing went wrong. My training was done properly. My dieting was done properly. The rest part could have been better. Reason why I say that is because I was training 4 hours a day. On top of that, I was training at least 8 to 10 clients a day as well.
Oh, so you already opened up this gym?
Not at that time. I was still a freelancer.
Okay.
But I was training clients and then I had to train myself. So as a freelancer, I had to move around.
Yeah.
So the traveling was very tiring as well. So training myself, traveling to clients' places, training them, and then moving to the next location. And then on top of all that, I had to carry my food around me everywhere. So it was really tiring. So it was after that competition, then I told myself, you know what, I won something already. This is actually the best time to use the publicity to actually open up my gym. So within less than a year later, I actually opened up the Fesique Lab.
Did you get money from the competition? Or it's just the publicity?
Okay, what I got from the competition, I actually uploaded a video. You can actually see it. I actually got a protein powder.
You got a protein powder from that competition?
Yes, I had 3 protein powders.
Okay, that's a very big...
Okay, so sadly to say, most physique and bodybuilding competitions are not well funded. So the event organizers, usually what they try to do is they try to get sponsors from supplement companies to actually sponsor this kind of supplements to the winners. At one point in time, the Singapore Sports Council did have a budget for athletes, but that was a long time ago.
Okay.
And that is only if you win in an international level. So locally, sadly to say, there isn't much money in it. So most athletes who are doing this are actually doing it out of passion and from their own pocket.
So how do you feel after you have won that gold medal? Do you want to chase for another gold medal or no?
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so remember I told you, you find a mountain, you conquer it, then you find another bigger mountain. So I feel like I've already conquered Mount Everest. So now I'm looking for something that's bigger than Mount Everest. I'm still trying to find what is that bigger Mount Everest.
Yeah, I think the bigger Mount Everest is you opening up this gym, right?
Yes.
And training multiple clients.
Yes. So, being a competitive athlete was a challenge by itself. But like what you said, the bigger challenge was actually setting up a gym and establishing a brand. So I had many years of experience as a trainer, but as a gym owner, when I first started out, zero.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know where to buy equipment from.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I had this very inquisitive nature where if I don't know something, I'll do my best to go and find out.
Is there anyone who helped you to find out, or you source it out yourself?
So like I said, I'm someone who needs to be hands-on. So I always believe if you want to get it done right, you got to get it done yourself. So so I went to look for everything for myself, but of course I did. There are some things that I needed advice from. So where I approach other gym trainers and ask them, you know, I'm setting up a gym, I would like to get equipment, you know, what would be advice and all that. But sadly,
No one tell you anything.
the gym owners that I approached, they were not very comfortable in helping me because maybe they saw me as a competition. I'm not so sure. But I don't blame them.
Yeah.
So then I realized, okay, you know, if no one's going to help me, I have to help myself. So then what happened was
Search in Google.
yes. So back then it was Yahoo, now it's Google.
Okay.
So I went online on Google, and then I actually found someone online who owns a gym in the US. So I asked him, you know, I'm from Singapore, I'm setting up a gym in Singapore. Would like some advice. You know, and then, you know, he told me, okay, he gave me a lot of good advice. And then also told me to like what to expect. And true enough, it was very challenging. It was very challenging. Like I said, I had to juggle many different jobs.
Yeah.
Like being a trainer,
Yeah.
I have to be the administrator, I have to handle the marketing, and there were times where I had to wash the toilets myself.
Yeah. So what keeps you going, even though it is very challenging?
Okay, so I see the Fesique Lab as a baby that I have to nurture. So it's like, okay, let me give you an analogy. So when we plant a seed, right, we have to water, we have to put fertilizer so that it will grow up into a tree. So in a nutshell, I look at the Fesique Lab as something like that, a seed that I planted, and hopefully it becomes a big tree and starts giving up fruits.
And what do you think the stage of your baby is at now? Where do you think it's at?
Okay, so it's been 8 years. So the Fesique Lab, I mean, a lot of people know the brand now, but I would like it to be known overseas as well one day. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to make the brand more famous in Singapore first, before I let the brand out overseas. So one of the things that we are doing right now is we are conducting workshops, we are getting involved in community events, we are participating in charity events as well, and then on top of that we are giving talks at corporate events and functions. And yeah, sometimes I do get invited on TV as well, to talk on fitness and all that. So that's where I try my best to make the brand, make people be more brand aware of the Fesique Lab.
So if anyone wants to start a gym in Singapore, what would be your one biggest advice for them to start running this business?
Okay, so one advice. Can I be long-winded?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so a lot of entrepreneurs, especially gym owners, they have this perspective that the moment they open a gym, they're going to be successful straight away. It doesn't work that way. So, I mean, if I'm allowed to be honest, for the first 1 year, I did not see any profits because the amount of revenue that was coming in was not even enough to cover the rent or the utilities. I had to top up money from my own pocket. So for new aspiring gym owners, what I would say is, the moment you set up a gym, always make sure that you have reserve funds to last for at least a year or two before you actually start seeing any progress coming in.
Is that what you did?
Yes. So for 2 years, I wasn't taking a pay. I was topping up money from my own pocket to cover the overheads. And then after 2 years, I realized, okay, we are no longer in the deficit now. That's where what I did was I started using the profits to reinvest in the gym to get better equipments. Because after 2 years, some equipments which is like overly used, right, tend to wear out.
Yeah.
So what I did was I used the profits to actually replace those equipments.
So reserving fund is the most important thing.
It's very important because you can't open up a gym. Let's say you spend 50,000 to 100,000, and then for the next 3 months, you don't have enough reserve funds to last you. What's going to happen to the gym? You have to close everything and sell off the equipment.
Okay.
So I kind of anticipated that for the first 6 months to 1 year, I won't be making surplus. So before I actually opened up the gym, I made sure that I had some funds in my reserve to make sure that it's enough to cover my overheads in the case that there's not enough revenue coming in.
But during the first year you weren't making any profits, right? How do you feel? Do you feel like, oh, I think I'm not gonna make it, I think this is not gonna work?
So the thing is, I was very confident in what I was doing because like I know that, like for example, if you plant a seed, you can't expect it to turn into a tree overnight. So I told myself I give 2 years before I start seeing proper profits coming in. So in that 2 years, I actually was looking at how slow the progress was. It was slow, but slow is better than no progress. So when I saw the progress coming in slowly, that itself was very reassuring for me. So which is why I did not have any doubts in the Fesique Lab.
Okay, that's very interesting because I am starting my own company as well.
Oh, congratulations.
So, I have this fear that, what if it doesn't work out? But now that you say that, I think it doesn't just resonate to new business owners, just gym, but also other business owners.
True.
And what I can get from our conversation is that we should not be afraid to ask questions because we don't know where it will lead us, like from your neighbor until where you are at now, achieving like silver to gold, and now you have your own gym. By asking someone online, it feels very surreal to me because you started with that courage just to ask and start. And I feel like there's a lot of courage in you that I feel I can get. So I really love this conversation, and I believe that anyone who wants to start a business, this is the type of courage that you have to have in Fesique Lab. And do you have any concluding words for our conversation on what really will help us build a business?
You got to be relentless. I mean, chase after what you want. If you have to work 18 hours, 20 hours with very little sleep, go for it. Because it's a small sacrifice for a greater good that's going to come in the future. And definitely do not give up halfway. It's like, there's a small story, let me say it. A guy was supposed to swim 50 meters to get to the island. He swam 25 meters. He thought he couldn't make it, so he swam back. But if he wanted to, he could have swam and reached that island. It's still 50 meters anyway. So just keep going, don't give up.
Thank you so much, Jay. And
Welcome.
if anyone wants to support your business, where should they go to?
Okay, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, The Fesique Lab.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jay, for accepting this interview.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's our very first interview in our podcast. And we hope that there's much more success to the Fesique Lab. And if anyone is looking to exercise, you can definitely try going to Fesique Lab, because he is also, with the experience that he has already tell us,
Thank you.
can believe that you are in good hands. And if you love the conversation that we had and you find it inspirational, don't forget to like,
Like, subscribe, and
comment down
comment.
below.